Hello everybody and welcome to TGP2. We are here in what will be an eventful night as we have a mystery circuit coming up. Before we go to that, we are going to go through the championship and constructors orders. We will be doing the spin the wheel at 19:14, so 7:14 UK time. Let's go to the championship order where CJ is currently leading the standings by 2 points ahead of Alistair. Lewis, after a horrendous last week with his internet issues, still at third place with only 4 points behind CJ, so not bad from him at all. Chris Johnson in fourth, he is only 25 points behind, so don't take him out. And Luca, who I believe is racing tonight, I'm not 100% sure. Also, I'd say in a chance of this fight. So we've got a five-way title fight, really. Yuri in, I'd say, lonely P6. He's shown hints of pace, but he just hasn't been able to keep a steady ground. So 6th place still isn't terrible. And then Deck, who joined, I think, 2 weeks in, is already in 7th place. He's showing a lot of potential. Jack Pearson, again, someone who's shown quite a bit of potential this season. And then Wace, who's been struggling to get a hang of this game since the new update, which some people have been saying the brakes are different. I haven't had any issues with it, so yeah. And then Daniel Price in 10th on 60 points. In the Constructors' Championship, Aston Martin are ahead of Williams. It seems like the graphics are all strange. I don't know which to believe. We'll go with the names. Aston Martin then ahead of Williams by approximately, I think, like 30 points. Ferrari in third, fighting Haas and Ferrari for that place. Alpine in 147 points. They performed quite well in Italy a few weeks ago, so don't count them out of anything yet. B-Carb in 7th, McLaren 8th, Sauber 9th, and McLaren 10th. McLaren, whoever that's meant to be, is in 10th Mercedes, I think that is. Right, so I hope you are all ready, because we are going to spin the wheel to take us to the mystery circuit. I have a minute late, I do apologise. Hang on for me a second, I just need to get the tracks up. Can't be leaking the thing for you. So here we are, the 6 tracks. We have Canada, Las Vegas, Mexico, Qatar, Japan, and China to pick from. Drivers are all saying mixed reactions. Some are saying Vegas. I think we have Lewis in the chat saying Vegas. We have Jacko saying Canada. So they are the 2 predictions so far. Let's get on with this before we make this late. So, Canada, Las Vegas, Mexico, Qatar, Japan, or China. Which one's it going to be? 3, 2, 1. Let's see. Ooh, it's going to be Japan. Japan is your circuit for tonight. So, as the crowd cheer on, Japan is your race for tonight. That's your mystery circuit for you. So, have I got an invite? I haven't yet. So, we shall wait. I should not leak my don't need to leak my messages. So, this is your calendar. So it will be Japan, the Netherlands, and Bahrain, I believe. I think there's a bit of confusion on whether the mystery circuit's going to be. When's it going to be? I'm not sure. I haven't got an invite. Give me a minute. I might be going crazy here. Have I got an invite? I'm on the right account. I haven't got an invite. They've been told to ready up and I haven't got an invite. That's not a great start. We shall wait for said invite. There we go. Apologies about that. That was probably my bad. I probably... Oh, what's going on? Okay, I think we're getting in. Apologies about that. A bit of miscommunication going on there from my behalf, I'd say. I thought no one got invites. Spectator. Oh, they're already in a session. Oh, okay. That doesn't help. Okay. By the looks of it, everyone's loading in though, so we haven't missed anything, I don't think. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. Last week had a lot of controversy, in which we'll go over after the qualifying session, because I have kind of annoyingly squeezed myself out of time. Actually, I can go through it really quickly. CJ not happy with last week as he overtook, I think it was Chris, off the circuit on the straight. So he is not a happy bunny. He lost his, well, technically it would have been win. However, Alistair got a penalty for the incident between him and CJ, and then had it removed because there was pretty much this whole debate: should he have got the penalty? Should he not? And the stewards decided to let Alistair keep his win. And then Deccan Yuri is another story, but we will go on to that in a second because here we go. We will watch on board. Who should we watch on board with? Go on board with CJ, why not? So, going to turn 1 and then 2, swing the car right. And then 3, 4, and 5 is the S section. S curves that they've put it in here as we go through turn 6. And then turn 7. You get a nice throttle through there. And then turn 8, the diagonal curb. Don't run that too wide. Don't perfect from CJ there into turn 9, and then with the hairpin coming up, you need to brake late and then get a good exit into turn 11. It's a very hard corner, the hairpin. I must admit I struggle with it sometimes. And then turn 12, the slow corner, constantly turning right very, very slowly. It's a messy lap so far from CJ. Then spoon curve, turn 13, don't run wide on the exit there. And then turn 14, he's gone quite wide. I think that's just about valid. As we go through 130R, turn 15, as some say. And then into the final few corners, so Casino Triangle, turn 16 and 17, and we will go to the run, to the line. I think it's going to be a Lewis Craig pole position, and it is a 128.997 from the Williams driver. So, let's see if we can get to his car before Yuri finishes his lap. There we go. So, Lewis is your pole position man in Japan. He wanted Vegas. Well, I don't think he's going to care because it's Japan pole for him. Now, will he be able to keep that into the race? We will find out. Here is your qualifying order. It is Lewis Craig on pole position, to Alistair, from Daniel, from CJ, from Luca, from Deck, from Matty C, from Neil Jack, from Jack Pearson, Jake in 10th, Mick Schumacher 11th, Chris Johnson in a lonely 12th, Red Bull Kim 13th, Dark Shadow 14th, Yuri 15th, and Jack Craig invalidating in 16th. I forgot to mention, we got Jake Warrior on the grid now. So he is in Sauber, I believe, for the rest of the season. So welcome to the grid, Jake. Pleasure to have you on our grid. I look forward to seeing how you perform this season. So, yeah, good lap from Lewis. Unfortunately, we weren't watching with our pole position man. By looks of it, CJ's screen turned off in the first sector, so that will explain why his lap was a little bit more scruffy than normal. So P5, I think that was, from him, so you can't really complain about that, can you? So, while we wait, I need to mention this controversy between Deck and Yuri. quite a noticeable thing in the chat. So Yuri, we kind of missed it on stream. Oh, okay, doesn't matter. We're going straight, we're going straight in. That was quicker than 30 seconds. Lights out and away we go for Japan, who gets the better line off the run off the line. It looks like Lewis might just about have it. As it goes into turn one, they go side by side. Lewis goes wide into turn 1 and 2. Here we go into the S's. Who's going to come out on top? Alistair hangs it around the outside, and that's a brilliant move from Alistair, who takes the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix from Lewis. CJ up in third, Daniel fourth place. He was going to be out of shape there, and will Luca be able to go around the outside of him? Ooh, I think they had a bit of contact there, but I think for now, Daniel will keep P4. Luca is all over the back of him though, as we go into the end of sector 1, and that is Daniel all out of shapes again. He's really struggling to keep the car on the road. He's now down to P6. He will not be happy about that. We've got a move from the Haas on Jack Pearson as he goes into 8th place. Yeah, good start from the guys on lap 1. Alistair though, 8/10 ahead already, ahead of Lewis Craig, and I tell you what, he wants that gap. You get that 1 second gap, it's good news for you. Red Bull Kim has unfortunately gone round. Something must have happened in the back with Jake and Dark Shadow as well, because yeah, something's happened. Just Dark Shadow's gone all sorts of wide there. Jack Craig ahead of Chris Johnson, who has also fallen quite far back of the grid. Anyway, as Alistair gets a little bit out of shape through the final corner, he leads us on to lap 2, as it looks like CJ has a little bit of a run potentially on Lewis Craig. Is he going to think about making a move? He thinks about it, gives it a little sniff, but for now he will sit behind Lewis Craig, as we have a move from Mick Schumacher on Yuri, who is trying to get past. I think he didn't want to get past, but he's been past. Lewis getting all out of shapes again. Will we see another move from CJ? The more mistakes these guys make, the bigger the gap gains or reduces here. Alistair, obviously, he had a little mistake going into the final corner. Oh, Lewis. These guys are really struggling to keep it on track. Lewis losing the rear end, and I do wonder if are the tyres dying already? I mean, they're mediums, so I presume not. Maybe they're just cold. As Jack Pearson gets past Neil Jack for P8. Ooh, we went off the circuit then. Oh, he's getting passed by Mick Schumacher. That might be why, as that's a good move from Mick Schumacher there, into 9th place. Meanwhile, cut back to the leaders, and Alistair just can't get out of that second window. Luca is looking all over the back of CJ. Could we see a move from the Ferrari driver? I don't think we will this lap. However, I think Alistair might have made a mistake, because that gap's gone down all the way to 4/10, and DRS now. Here we go, start of lap 3, and it looks like CJ, if anything's maybe looking at a move on Lewis Craig here. He has to sit back for now. I thought maybe he might have actually gone for the move, but saving ERS are these guys. I think ERS managing this early into the race is going to be key. If you burn it all straight away, then you're going to really struggle to defend at the end. Oh, Luca thought he was maybe going off then, but he keeps it on circuit for now. Yeah, so far, Alistair's somewhat got this under control. He has lost a fair bit of time though. He had nearly a second gap. It is now only 5/10. Dark Shadow, 3-second time penalty. Is he already pit? He has. Okay. Let's look at the stats really quickly for us. Who's getting the most places? It's Yuri and Jack Craig. So they've had a good start. And Daniel is the biggest loss, I'd say, at the top 10 anyway. We've got a yellow flag. Who is that for? It is Red Bull Kim, who's gone off circuit, which isn't great news for him. But anyway, CJ has fallen out of that 1 second window of Lewis Craig. And in other news, it looks like we might get a move from Lewis Craig on Alistair here. Here we go. Burning the ERS is Lewis Craig, he gets the fastest lap. He's been pushing to keep up with the Red Bull driver. Will he make it into turn 1? Will he send it down the inside? He definitely does. Alistair's going to try and hang around the outside. He can't make it stick though. And that is Lewis into the lead of the race. Meanwhile, Luca has also gotten past CJ for P3. It is now starting to get a bit more tasty. Overtakes are starting to be made as Luca already gained that second gap back to Alistair. Now, if he can keep it as it is, stay in the DRS range of the leaders. But yeah, CJ just kind of, I think, just had a bit of a bad lap on lap 3. As we got Lewis, who went a little bit wide into turn 9, techno curve, as Yuri gets past Mick Schumacher for P10. So he is slowly but surely climbing his way through the field. I did say Luca was, he's very close to that 1 second window. Can he get DRS this lap? Otherwise, it might be curtains for their chances of the win. As you look at Alistair, he is already on Lewis's gearbox. He should easily fly past him on the main straight, as Luca has indeed got himself DRS. So does CJ. Nearly, so does Deck. Here we go then. Starting lap 5. This should be an easy move from Alistair here. Here we go, on the straight. And voila. Into turn 1. Down the inside he goes. Lewis is going to try and hand it around the outside, but I don't think it's going to work. He's going to go for the switchback, loses the rear end, and that is Alistair back into the lead of the race. I think pit stops are going to be crucial for whoever finishes where. Jack Pearson up to P7. He was down in P9, I think. He's now up to P7, fighting Daniel for P6, who he hasn't had the best start of the race, has he? He is on softs, which probably wasn't the best tyre choice, because tyre wear around here is horrendous. I can't imagine what their medium tyres are running on. As CJ thinking about going down the inside. What's happened here? Lucas ran into the back of Lewis. Lewis is round. Lucas now up to P3, and well, CJ has gained all of that, took an advantage of every single bit of that into P2. And I think Luca was trying to go down the inside of CJ, and unfortunately tapped him round by accident. And oh well, tell you what, Lewis is all out of shapes now. His tyres are probably a little bit overheating, and he's probably also a bit frustrated, I imagine. Wouldn't blame him one bit, as now Deck is all over the back of him. Alistair then, he's got his second lead. This is exactly what he wanted. Any pitters going to be from these guys who had that collision? I don't think so. I think we are... I've got Daniel in the pits, that's not a surprise. Those softs are probably very much dead. Lewis, though, he must be gutted. I would be anyway. Because he was fighting for the win, and now he's down in P4, not even on the podium. Huge for the championship, by the way. Like, these 4 are fighting in the championship. The top 4 are all fighting in the championship. Chris is also, but he's down in P11, so not the exact place he wants to be. The top 3, CJ, Alistair, Lewis. Well, tell you what, you got Luca here in P3. He's got Yuri and Matty C, who has gone round. I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but I think Yuri tried to go past him the Degner curve, and well, Matty C has taken the punishment for it. But yeah, going back to the championship, like the top 3 are all fighting here, and Luca is now like a bottleneck almost. He's in between these guys. He's letting, well, the top 2 in the championship, CJ and Alistair, pull away from Lewis, who had really awful luck last week and will want to get redemption and gain those points back, because as it stands, that gap between CJ and Alistair will be much bigger if Lewis stays in 4th. But anyway, we go back to this fight for P3 now, as Lewis just slipstreaming Luca, but Luca he manages to defend for now. CJ is all over the back of Alistair meanwhile, so Alistair's tyres maybe just a little bit more shot. So we've got a yellow flag. I think that is Kaya again, unfortunately for him. But yeah, so far, interesting race. I didn't expect these guys to crash. As that is Alistair, who's gone round. CJ takes the lead of the race, and what has happened to Alistair? His tyres must be a bit shot. And wow, CJ is your race leader, Lewis Craig. 3 second time penalty. His race goes from bad to worse. But Alistair, he had a somewhat comfy lead there, but I guess his rears must have just. I wonder if they're overheating or something. And I don't think he's got any front wing damage out of that. I think he might have actually kept it out of the barrier, which is a good save if he has. But very unfortunate. Dark Shadow retires on circuit before the triangle touched him. Casio triangle. But safety cars aren't on, so means nothing. Just unfortunate DNF for him. Will we see any pit stops? Because we're getting to the stage now where, CJ's came out from nowhere. Is he pitting? He does pit, or Alistair he's staying out. That's an interesting choice. Luca pits, Lewis Craig pits, and who was that who stayed out? Deck pits. I guess he has to for the strategy. Is Luca's 10-second time penalty? That is not what you wanted to see. He might already get punished for the incident he's had with Lewis, and now he's going to have to serve another 10-second time penalty as he jumps Lewis in the pit lane. That was an unsafe release. CJ then, he will come out in a bit of traffic. He gets ahead of Jake though, who is going to now be kind of in the way of Luca and Lewis if they catch up to him in time. Oh, CJ's, what a save, mate. Sideways on the curb, and somehow he's kept it going. He lost a little bit of time, like no surprise, but like, wow, what a save. That is probably moment of the race for him. I'm glad I somewhat caught that, but wow, he's been given a lifeline there really with his save, and now he wants to make the most of it. I'm sure he can still gain that time on Alistair, so yeah. Now what will Matty C do here? Will Matt hold up CJ for Lewis here, or will he not fight it? Will he focus on his own race? This will be interesting to see what the teammates do here. Yes, will we see the leaders pit? I'm sure Alistair's got a pit now. Yes, he does. Will Deck follow him in? He does. Presume Yuri might, as Luca gets past Jake. Yep, good move from the Ferrari driver. Will Lewis follow? He doesn't, he has to sit behind. Let's go back to the leaders then. Alistair coming out the pit lane. Where is CJ as he goes on to the start finish straight? He had that spin earlier, somewhat spin, but it doesn't matter. He gets the lead of the race. Net lead anyway. He's got a yellow flag and set to 2. CJ in the lead of the race by 1.3 seconds. Imagine had he not had that moment, he would be like at least 2 seconds ahead. But I don't think he's going to complain. If he can keep that gap as it is, he has a comfortable win, presuming he makes no mistakes. As Alistair got caught on that curve there, that'll cost him even more time. I think he's starting to feel the pressure a little bit here. That mistake has cost him potentially the win, and well, it's probably not made him a very happy bunny, I imagine. But at the moment, we've got a fight for what is net P3 as Lewis. He's had a brilliant run there. I thought he was going to maybe have a look at Luca, but he couldn't make the move stick, which would have been a brilliant move had he done it. Traction out of that corner would have been crazy. But for now, he sits behind. That gap between CJ and Alistair, staying at 1.6 seconds, so nothing to focus on too much there for now. But this fight for P3, heating up slightly. I also just want to keep an eye on this fight for P9, is Yuri and Chris behind Neil Jack, Mick Schumacher pits. What will we see from these guys? Will we see any overtakes? CJ fastest lap of the race. He is really gunning for it. Will we see any move from Lewis then on Luca? I don't think we will. He'll sit back for now, too far behind. Will we see a move in this little fight here for P8? I don't think we will. Yuri is slightly behind, but too far behind to think about a move. Not obviously the weekend Yuri wants, nor though Chris Johnson, who has had brilliant pace this season, but he kind of had a bad qualifying, and it's not really been much of a... Oh, he's actually got front wing damage on the front wing, on the right side of it, end plate damage. That won't be helping. The Haas driver, so he's got more issues. Not the race he's wanted, but we've still got 2 more races of the Netherlands and Bahrain, so he doesn't have to stress too much. There's only 1 race. Meanwhile, CJ, has he burned through his tyres too quickly? Alistair, he has got back into that 1 second window. They have both dropped, Luca and Lewis. Luca, obviously, 10-second time penalty could cost him a lot. It could cost him down to, I think, like 8th, which isn't exactly what he wants to see. As we go on to lap 11, only 3 more laps to go in this race. 2 laps to go, apologies, my bad. Will Alistair maybe look at a move? He won't, but Lewis is making a move on Luca into P3. Easy peasy. What about this fight here for P8? Will Yuri be able to go and make a move into turn 2? He also sits behind. He is right over the back on Neil Jack though. That shot shows it. Can he make a move though? He's, you know, the S section, incredibly difficult place to make a move, so I don't imagine we'll see a move just yet. Maybe ascend into the hairpin. That'd be a good move if he manages to pull it off. But yeah, it looks right up his chuff. Will he? Surely he's got to ascend it. Down the inside? No, he sits back and waits. But if I'm Yuri, I'm getting a bit impatient now. Because look at the cards in front. You've got Neil Jack and then Daniel and Jack Pearson. You don't really want to be stuck behind that train, especially when you're the slower car. Meanwhile, Deck has gone past Luca. And to the leaders. Apologies, I missed a move that Deck made. He's up to P4. Great result for Aston Martin if it sticks this way. Is going to the final corner. CJ, surely he's just going to have to wave Alistair through, really. He's burning his ERS though, interestingly. I'm surprised he's deciding to do that. If I was him, I'd let him through and then wait until the final lap to make the move. But CJ then stays ahead. We've got 2 laps to go. Luca, I'm not really sure what's happened to his pace. Yuri finally gets past Neil Jack. I'm sure that is a relief for him, as he's now going to try and push his way. Jack Pearson's got a time penalty, so for him, I think he just needs to get past Daniel. He'll be happy. In fact, he'd get P6 because Luca, with his penalty, yeah, he'll drop down. So Yuri on, ooh, don't lose at the rear end there. Still looking on a good result as Daniel goes off the circuit very, very wide, and that is him down to P9. What has been a great qualifying for the Mercedes driver has turned into a horrible race, and now Yuri is looking at a P6, which I'm sure he would be, I'd say, quite happy with. He'd be content with it, at least from the back of the grid. I'd happily take a P6. Anyway, we go to the front runners now. The ERS, we have CJ who's just about to go on to 100%, and Alistair who's on 70%, well no, not 80%. Yuri gets past Jack Pearson. Jack Pearson has gone round. That is not exactly what he wants to see, but we will focus on the leaders now. Here we go, final lap of the race. CJ burns absolutely everything. Alistair is going to burn absolutely everything. He has the DRS though. He has the slipstream. Who is going to take the lead into turn 1? Will CJ be able to lead it? Into turn 1 we go. CJ manages to defend. Will Alistair be able to get the better exit? He doesn't. CJ got a little bit squirmish there, but so far it looks like CJ is going to be able to keep his place, but there is still a few more overtaking opportunities for Alistair to get past CJH, and I'll tell you what, one mistake from CJ and it is all gone. So who is going to win this race? As you can tell, they're both properly pushing the car, as CJ getting a bit out of shape there, just a little bit squirmish, nothing massive, going into the hairpin. Oh, Alistair sits behind. Alistair, I imagine, is so desperate for this win. He knows that that mistake could cost him yellow flag. Yuri has gone off the circuit. He's facing the wrong way. That is not great news for the Dutchman. But here we go. This is where we go into spoon curve and then on the exit. Who is it going to be? Will Alistair be able to make the move on CJ? As they go through 130R and into the casino square coming up now. Will Alistair make the send of all sends? He won't. CJ, he just needs to go for this final few corners, and he is your race winner. Here we go, final corner. CJH is your winner in Japan. Alistair gets P2. Lewis Craig will get P3 on circuit, but it will be Deck P3. I think that's his first podium. Congratulations to Deck. Lewis finishes 4th place. Luca, with the 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, will finish 5th on track. But Neil Jack, brilliant results from him, P5. Daniel will finish P6. Luca will finish 7th in the end. Mick Schumacher 8th. Chris Johnson finishes 9th in the end. Jack Craig 10th. Yuri 11th with no front wing. Jack Pearson down in 12th after the spin at the end of the race. Matty C 13th. Jake in 14th in his first race back to TGP2, and Red Bull Kim will finish 15th. So penalties shaping that race quite a bit there. Neil Jack, brilliant P5, the better Haas driver by a fair bit. Luca down in P7 after what has been a somewhat decent race. The crash is going to be controversial. Lewis will not be happy, I imagine. Jack Craig missing out on P9 by 18 milliseconds. But at the moment, I'm sure CJ doesn't matter. He is your race winner in Japan. And I'm sure he is very happy with that. So, yeah, he is, yeah, I imagine quite happy. I'll tell you who isn't probably happy is Lewis. I'm not 100% sure what happened. By looks of it, Luca just sent it a bit too deep. And yeah, whether or not it'll be penalised, we'll see. But CJH stands on the top step of the podium. Very good drive from him. No mistakes really made. He managed to clear up the one mistake he made. And he shakes hands with the president of Japan. I think it's president. And his Aston Martin crew looking up to him. He sprays his engineer, the same grey-haired engineer which is in every team. Who wins? He must be a god. As Deck sprays his teammate, and Alistair, well, he looks happy on the podium, might not be feeling too happy inside. He knows he could have won that race, but that mistake costing him. So CJ, who wins and gets fastest lap, so 4 points from CJ, from Alistair, from Deck, from Lewis, from Neil Jack, from Daniel, from Luca, from Mick Schumacher, from Chris Johnson, from Jack Craig, from Yuri, from Jack Pearson, Matty C, Jake, Red Bull Kim, and Dark Shadow. That was a really interesting and fun race to watch. That was, yeah, interesting. A lot of things happened in that race. Including Jack Pearson and Yuri both spinning on the final 2 laps. That really caught me off guard. But yeah, we now go to, I think it's the Netherlands. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, we now wait for. Yeah, it's Netherlands. We now wait for the drivers to ready up and whatnot. Yeah, really good, entertaining race. Good drive from CJ. He took advantage of every mistake. And got the win from it. And it shows consistency does pay off. As CJ says, I hope you caught my save after the pit stop. Proper brown moment. I said, brilliant save. I don't know why I said what my reply was, but yes. What are we saying in the chat in the live stream? We've got Wet Lemon saying good luck to the title contenders. Jenga saying love you too. Yeah. We've got Jess saying go on Alistair, so we've got a fan of Alistair in the chat. Hello everyone who's watching, I hope you are enjoying. Netherlands is going to be an interesting race. Not a massive fan of the Netherlands, but I'm sure there are a few people who will disagree with me quite heavily on that. So yeah, I'm just going to have a sip on my drink and then we'll go to qualifying in the Netherlands. Right, I am back. So, loading into the session, we went for Dark Shadow and Jake. Just going to get the track map up for qualifying. As it is a dry qualifying, which I'm sure most of the drivers will go, oh, thank God. Well, some are probably going, I really wish it was wet. I'm a fan of wet weather, always have been. So, yeah, CJ saying that he hates the circuit. I, for one, may or may not agree or disagree. I can't do any of the names of these corners. They're all Dutch, so we're gonna just go with turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. Let's go on board with Lewis. We watched on board with CJ last time. Where is he, Lewis Craig? Here we go then. Into turn 1. Don't clip that curb too much; it will spin your car around. And then turn 2 and turn 3, fling your car into it. Oh, Lewis getting all out of the shapes. If we go through the I can't even remember what that corner called. Apologies. As we go into turn 4 and then 5, very uphill corner here, and then for part there fast turn 7. He does that pretty well. Into turn 8 again. Don't clip the curves too much. Don't run wide. Into turn 9, a slow section of corners. The only really slow bit of the circuit. Into turn 10, don't clip the apex too much, and he has done that very well. Onto the exit, open your DRS wide, and then you go to turn 11 and 12, run the curb quite wide. It's a very small curb. You can run on that curb on the left side. You never used to be able to, but going into turn 13, fast right, so got the hill, incline on these, like, is incredible. You'll never get it until you walk on it. And it is going to be Wet Lemons who takes pole position here in the Netherlands. That'll be a shock for some, and well, he will be delighted with that pole position. Wet Lemons is your pole sitter for the Netherlands Grand Prix, and I think we might be getting some rain. But here is your starting grid. Wet Lemons is on pole position from Lewis Craig, Alistair in P3, Luca P4 with Chris Johnson P5, Deck in P6 with Jack Pearson P7, CJ down in P8 after his win, Yuri in 9th, Daniel in 10th, Matty C 11th, Jack Craig 12th, Jake W 13th, Mick Schumacher 14th, Dark Shadow 15th, and Neil, Jack, and Red Bull Kim get disqualified from the session. So, Wet Lemons on pole position with Lewis Craig P2. Lewis is wanting his payback after his incident with Luca. I believe, will it be wet? Or is CJ pulling my leg? It is wet. Very, very wet. It'll be interesting to see if this is inters or wets. So it looks very, I'd say just about inters. I don't think it'll be full wets. But this is going to be a challenge for our drivers because, yeah, this isn't exactly a very easy circuit to drive on, let alone in the wet conditions. And I'm sure we will see some spins and mistakes going into this race. So we wait for our drivers to pick the strategies and fuels and any changes to the setups, and we will hopefully be going as we watch the fans being happy. Here we go, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights for the Dutch Grand Prix. It's lights out, And away we go. Who gets the better start between the Wet Lemons? Wet Lemons has got the better start. And actually, we look further back. Who is that? Deck, I think, has sent it from a mile back. As we go in to turn 3. And at the moment, Wet Lemons leads from Alistair, who jumped Lewis. But Deck, coming out of thin air into turn 1. It kind of worked for him here. But he's lost down into P5 with Wet Lemons. And Alistair going side by side, going up the hill. Who is going to come out victorious so far? It is Wet Lemons, who keeps his lead of the race. I think he must have made a mistake. As Luca is dropping down the order, what is happening to the Ferrari driver? I'm not quite sure, but he's down in P9 now, so not the start he wanted. But Wet Lemons, so far, he squirmed everywhere. It's just about in the lead of the race, but Alistair looks much more comfortable on the throttle compared to Wet Lemons. As CJ gets past his teammate, I feel like maybe a bit of teamwork going on between the two Aston Martins. Nothing really dangerous going on there. As yeah, so Wet Lemons is your race leader here in the Netherlands. He's only got 17 more laps to try and defend it. No DRS, obviously, because it is wet weather conditions. As Wet Lemons fastest lap of the race, no surprise there, first lap. So, this could dry up. I've not been told. I think this is going to be just wet the whole race, as Luca gets past Daniel. He's going to try and get himself recovered back up the grid after what I presume he must have had some sort of mistake. There's no way you drop that far down, but yeah, Alistair is just sitting back with Wet Lemons. He's not making any rash decisions. He's not trying to get a hurry up. He's just, oh, what's that? Is he going to send it? No, he won't. Yeah, he's behaving himself. He's not going to make any rash moves. He's just going to wait until his moment comes and send it, or make the move. As Deck is going off, and that's because CJ has made a mistake going in to the fast right-hander, and he's down into P7. He will not be pleased with that. After the win in Japan, he's now down to P7. Probably not what he wanted. Wow, Alistair's all over the back of Wet Lemons. It's quite obvious who the faster driver is at this stage, but this track is hard to make overtakes, and well, I think this is going to prove it. Here we go. Will Alistair try and make the move on Wet Lemons? Wet Lemons saying that. Faster lap than Alistair. So, maybe not. Maybe Wet Lemons is the quicker driver. Just ever so slightly. As Jake, I'm not going to say Jake gets past Matty C, but Matty C is into the pits. I wonder what that choice or strategy is going to be for. But yeah, leaders are just chilling out. They're not doing anything crazy. I am keeping an eye out on CJ. Euros down there as well. The home hero. I don't think there's anyone else in the league who is Dutch. I don't think. I will take that back. I feel like someone is Dutch. I feel like Red Bull King might be. I apologise. Oh, he's an AI anyway. I know he's not. Anyway, stop getting distracted. Kieran. Alistair is still on all over the back of Wet Lemons. But again, this track is just awful for overtaking, and with no DRS, this could be very much a strategy game. Will we see any pit stops this race? We've already seen one with Matty C. But will this be a one-stop race, or are we going to see no pit stops? Alistair going to go try and go around the outside of Wet Lemons here. He can't get the move done. He has to sit behind for another lap. As any other moves going down the field? I don't think so. It's not really. I think the leaders are actually the closest gap. Mick Schumacher's all over the back of Daniel. My mind went blank then, apologies. But yeah, so Alistair, I think Wet Lemons made another mistake, and Alistair nearly got past Wet Lemons, but again, just having to sit behind, he can't find the grip at the right times. But yeah, Wet Lemons is struggling out there. as Neil Jack is past Jack Craig. What a move that must have been. That's a good place to... It's a hard place to make a move. CJ, is he going to try and make a move on Jack Pearson? Not now, though. I think maybe the straight coming up ahead, we could see a move. But we will keep an eye on that. Will Alistair maybe have a look on Wet Lemons? Here we go. On the straight, it looks like Alistair's going to be able to send it down the inside. Down the inside, the Red Bull driver goes. Will Wet Lemons try and hang it around the outside? He's going to certainly fight it. But he gets squeezed out wide. Shut the door on. CJ, meanwhile, trying to make the move on Jack Pearson. Just can't make the move stick. CJ stays in P7. He's going to send it down the inside. No, that'd have been silly. As Mick Schumacher and Daniel are also fighting it out. So we've got quite a few battles going on here. I do take back what I said. But at the moment, it looks like Alistair has much more better pace than Wet Lemons and is, indeed, pulling away from Wet Lemons almost a second already. Let's just focus on the other championship drivers. So, Lewis Craig, obviously, fighting for his championship down in P3 at the moment. So, again, he's just kind of flirting with P3, P4. He's not really fighting for the win. He has the pace to. Race pace is just shocking. Nowhere. Anyways, we will focus on the leaders in a minute because we have another title contender with CJ and Luca, who is also behind. As we've got a yellow flag, I think that is nothing for B, unfortunately for round. It is, unfortunately for him. As we go on to lap 5, lap 6. No moves made from CJ or Luca so far. And will Yuri make a move on Jack Craig? These two have been fighting a lot tonight. It looks like Yuri down the inside, and that is him past Jack Craig as he drifts his way through turn 1. Will Jack Craig be able to find a gap? No, he won't. Yuri now up to P12. Will be chasing down Neil Jack for P11 in the Hasses. He's also struggling on grip. He's also got front wing damage. I don't know where these guys are getting damage from, but I must be missing something. As Wet Lemons, he's slightly staying with Alistair. I don't know who he's going to be able to make the move though. CJ going down the inside of Jack Pearson. Jack Pearson gets the switchback. CJ has got the better throttle input though, and has managed to keep going side by side with him. Down the inside CJ goes. Will be able to make the move stick. He's going to certainly try and hang around the outside. Jack Pearson though manages to gain the exit on the inside, and he's managed to keep P6, but he hasn't because CJ back down the inside, and that is CJ who got P6, but Jack Pearson gets a better run through CJ as they go side by side through the final corner. That is intense fighting between the two of them. Brilliant fighting. As now Luca's getting involved here. They go 3 wide into turn 1. Who's going to make the move stick? Jack Pearson's going to send it down the inside of CJ again. CJ leaves him in the room. But I think, Jack Pearson, he's going to have to sit behind. That is great fighting between the 3 of them. Brilliant. I don't know how they all kept it out of the wall. Hang on, Jack Pearson's got another run on CJ. No, he doesn't. Wow, that was incredible from the 3 of them. That was... Wow. I did not expect that. As Jack Pearson all out of shape now. Luca all over the back of him. That was... Oh, these guys know how to fight each other. I honestly thought they were going into the barrier in the last corner. That was... I couldn't even talk. So... This fight for P6 heated up a little bit. I don't know if Jack Pearson's going to be able to stick with CJ, but, well, we've still got Luca and Jack to fight with. Yeah, wow. They all managed to keep that really clean, and yeah, I'm very much impressed. In other news, Alistair has gained 1.5 seconds on Wet Lemons, so I don't know if he's going to be able to keep this win. Here's Wet Lemons. He's going to have to fight a lot back now as we start lap 8 with these guys. We'll see any more moves? No, we won't. So yeah, Yuri is... Daniel and Mick side by side. Mick Schumacher all out of shape, but he manages to keep the place up into P9. Ferrari 8-9 as Jack Jake gets past Yuri for P12. A little sip on my drink. Mouth is dry, drier than anything. Do have a little bit of cold still, but we don't worry about that. Jack Pearson, I was just about to say, is driving quite well. Luca, meanwhile, he's going to try and ruin that for him. Let's go around the outside. He's got front wing damage as well. How are these guys getting front wing damage? We'll never know. But Luca's got front wing damage as Jack Craig has retired in the pit lane. That's unfortunate for him. But yeah, Luca. He is all over the back of Jack Pearson, who I don't think has damage. So I think, by the looks of it, Luca's just quicker. I again don't know where that front wing damage has come from. But this is the fight for P6. No penalties somehow. They're saying that's not exactly a place to make overtakes, as Jack Craig's car has come back on track. I'm gonna hope it doesn't interfere with these guys. I think it just about moves out of the way. Yeah, it does. Jack Pearson is in a lot of pressure, as Luca is all over the back of him. By the way, keep an eye out on Chris and CJ. CJ is looking quicker than Chris. I'm wondering if pit stops are going to be something to consider. Because we're now halfway through the race. I'm seeing a few. There you go, slides. I just wonder if the tyres maybe it might be worth a gamble. I don't really know what the Inters are like around here. CJ all over the back of Chris Johnson now. As we go on to the second straight out of, well, I guess you could count the uphill bit as a straight. Third straight then, in that case. But yeah, CJ, keep an eye out on him, because I imagine we might see an overtake from him. Alistair, fastest lap after fastest lap. Is it maybe going to dry out? I wonder, because those laps times are improving. As here goes CJ, will he be able to make a move on Chris? As we have a first pit stop. Luca into the pits. CJ stays behind Chris for now, but yes, just keep this on watch. I think this could be a move soon enough, as Daniel also follows Luca in. Luca hasn't repaired his front wing, so that is actually a tactical strategy move there. So I do wonder, maybe there is pit stops to be made in tonight's race. But for now, we have a fight for P5. Luca 9 seconds behind Jury, so yeah, well, here we go. CJ down the inside of Chris. Chris leaves him the room. CJ's got the better exit somehow, and I think CJ is going to be up to P5. Good move from CJ. He's pulling off some really. He's showing us why he could be a champion this season, because he is driving very well, I'd say. So far, he's had half a spin, managed to keep it out of the wall or off the circuit in general. He won Japan, and now he is currently chasing down his teammate for P4. He is showing what he is worth. Meanwhile, Luca, he does seem to be catching Yuri by a little bit, so I don't know if that's the right strategy to make though. 7 laps to go. I get the tyres are going to be dead, but as Yuri has gone past Jake meanwhile. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping these guys aren't listening to my commentary and going, oh yeah, he's going to know what he's on about. He's quick. I don't know what I'm on about strategy. I'll just YOLO it all. And I look at my tyre wear. I can't see that on these guys. Oh, look at that. Jack Pearson. He's just drifting through corners. This is what I'm on about though. These guys are struggling for grip. So, yeah. CJ is catching his teammate, by the way, so we could maybe see CJ P4, which would be a good result, I think, all things considered, despite the mistake earlier in the race. Meanwhile, Neil, Jack, Yuri, and Jake are fighting for P9. So it'd be interesting to see how these guys go on. Alistair, another fastest lap, a 1:18.5. So yeah, lap times I'd say I'm improving. as Daniel gets past his teammate. I don't think there was much of a fight going on there. I thought there was a way I could see that oh, here we go, faster laps. So I'd say, well, wet lemons of 118.8. Something tells me, yeah, times are improving. Will we see Yuri make a move on the Haas driver? I don't think we will. We won't. He will stay behind for another lap. Unless, obviously, the Haas makes a mistake. 3 seconds Alistair has on wet lemons, so not looking great for wet lemons, but I'm sure he'll take P2. I think he'll be very happy with a P2. Maybe a bit gutted that he couldn't win, but Alistair's in another league of his own by the looks of it. Jack Pearson, by the way, all over the back of Chris Johnson. Chris, who was he ahead? I don't think it was. Is this a new move? Well, anyway, this is a new move. Jack Pearson going to go down the inside of Chris Johnson? He does. He makes a move what looked like stick, but Chris Johnson got the switch back. But I think he's a bit out of shape, yeah. Jack Pearson gets himself into P6. Yuri is going to go down the around the outside of Jake. No, he won't. Jake will keep his place in 10th. But yeah, what's going on here? Looks like someone's gone wide. Is there going to be a move? No, they won't. I thought they were going side by side with that camera angle. But no, they're not. Here we go. Yuri again, trying to get past Jake. They've been fighting, I think, for the majority of this race. And well, it's carrying on. Will Yuri go down the inside of Jake? He will. Jake's going to hang it around the outside, but Yuri makes the move into P10. I don't think that's the last of what we're going to see between the two drivers. Meanwhile, Luca is catching these guys, but I'm starting to think that strategy might not be paying off somewhat. So, gaps are kind of like quite separated at this point in the race. Closest is this fight between Neil, Jack, Yuri, and Jake. So we'll keep an eye on this fight. The other gaps are like 2-3 seconds. These guys have all separated in each other's worlds. So is Neil Jack weaving there, or was that just a technical issues? Yellow flag for Dark Shadow. Yet he stayed moving, so I'm not quite sure what that was for. Neil Jack going a bit wide. On the exit of the final corner, but I don't think it's going to be putting him in too much pressure. I think at this point now it's looking on for Luca. Where can he finish in this race? Can he get himself P9? He would only have lost 1 place to Mick Schumacher. Oh, not with that mistake. That is not going to get him any closer to the guys up front. Meanwhile, we also have to, I forgot to note this, CJ. He's only a second and a half behind his teammate, who his teammate isn't exactly too far behind Lewis. I'm not sure how that gap's been. Yuri makes the move on Neil Jack. That seems like a good move he's made, but Neil Jack's going to try and go back up the inside. Yuri gives him the room. And he's actually gone wide and a bit out of shape, but I think Neil Jack will have the place. Oh no, he'll lose the place. Yuri now up to P9. Will Neil Jack be able to fight this one back? We will see, as Luca now has caught up to Jake. And this is where the fun begins for Luca. I say that he's not really gaining much. As again, I don't know what Kai is doing, but he's doing something to cause a yellow flag for that corner every lap. Here we go then. This should be fun. Luca on the back of Jake. It goes to a 10th of a second. Luca thinks about going down the inside, but actually might not have the grip. Oh, he has the exit though. Wow, what a move from Luca. If he keeps this stick, he can make that stick. Yes, he does. In to P11, the Ferrari man goes. That grip, that rear grip is really showing now. 3 laps to go, by the way, in this race. And well, this might not be the most exciting races. You know, we've had a lot of overtakes, and so we cannot complain one bit. Neil Jack, by the way, is still keeping with Yuri, so again, another fight we need to keep an eye out on. And this fight for P4, will Deck fight this maybe? As Deck, I tell you what, he is keeping with Lewis, 1.1 seconds. Might get close in the end. Yeah, CJ is now in what would be Deck's DRS if it was enabled. Lewis, I think, is maybe starting to struggle a little bit. That gap is definitely, I'm sure, closed down. Anyway, let's go down to the fight for P9. I'll tell you what, actually, we're going to cut to these guys. I think they're going to let him through. I imagine he will. No moves anyway for these guys behind, so yeah, we'll watch. I imagine what will be Deck just moving out of the way and letting CJ get on with it. We'll see though. I'm not sure how well Aston Martin work together as a team, at least in real life. There we go. There you go. Deck moves out of the way for CJ. CJ now has 2 laps to go to catch up to Lewis Craig for P3. And I tell you what, Lewis, I think he is struggling out there, so don't count CJ, despite the fact he had that mistake, for potential P3 here, which wouldn't be too shabby for CJ. Won't be the worst result. Alistair, meanwhile, 10 seconds ahead of Wet Lemons. Mental. His pace is insane. 2 laps to go in this race then. Deck, I'm sure, will just want to finish 5th. This fight, meanwhile, for, well, what is now just P10. Luca is wanting some points in tonight's race, and well, he will probably, I imagine, get past Neil Jack. I'm not sure about Yuri, that is a different story. I tell you what, if Luca had front wing damage, this could have been more. As here we go, he looks oh, I thought about maybe ascend. He has the traction, to be fair, and he has the grip. Here we go. He's just trying to make the moment stick. There you go. Great move from Luca. Dummies Neil Jack into making a mistake. Oh, he's actually made a mistake himself, but it's not going to matter. Has Neil Jack had that front wing damage? Oh, maybe I've got confused between the two Hasses. Anyway, Chris Johnson, by the way, P5. I'm sure he's not going to complain about that. Anyway, here's a fight we've I thought was maybe going to happen. We have these two, Lewis Craig and CJ, fighting for the P3 as they're both going out of shape. Here we go, final lap of the race, and is CJ going to potentially make a move on Lewis Craig here? Final lap of the race, start finish straight. Who's going to come out victorious into turn 1? CJ goes around the outside, Lewis going to try and squeeze him, but I think, oh, CJ's gone a bit wide, and CJ has to settle for 4th so far, but look at him, he's got so much more grip than Lewis, it's insane. On the final lap, there's not many overtaking places for CJ to make the move on Lewis, but I know CJ, he's a feisty driver, he will get what he wants, and will he be able to get that P3? He has so much more grip through the fast corners. He's almost pushing him through the corners as look, he's sliding everywhere. He's really, really hungry for that P3, but will he be able to make it stick? As I think the rain's actually stopped it, giving us a few more laps. We would have had maybe a change in tyre wear. It has stopped. Will CJ be able to send it? No, he won't. Oh, Lewis has gone a bit deep. Meanwhile, we'll quickly cut to it. Alistair wins in the Netherlands. Who is going to get P3? I think CJ will just miss out, but Lewis all out of shape again. Who's going to get this? They go side by side. They're enough. Who's going to get it? I think Lewis might just be able to get it. Oh, CJ's ran out of fuel, I think. He's ran out of fuel, and he's down to 5th. Oh dear. So Lewis third, Deck in the end 4th. I don't think he wanted to overtake him, but it's happened. Jack Pearson, quite lonely 6th place. I'm sure he'll take that. Chris Johnson will finish P7. I think there's more fuel running out there. Mick Schumacher would have got 8th, but Yuri's going to snatch it across the line. Luca will get to P9. Mick Schumacher finishes 10th. Neil Jack will get 11th, Jake will get 12th, and Daniel P. Wilnut will get 13th. But Alistair, 12-second gap, insane drive from him. Yeah, great drive from the Red Bull driver. But yeah, looks like we had a few drivers run out of fuel, and I think CJ might have done too. And I think Dex slowed down, thinking that he would manage to let CJ across the line, but accidentally overtake CJ. Could be huge for the constructors. Well, not constructors, such championship though. But Alistair is top of the podium once again as he lifts his trophy. It is 2 different winners in these races. And wow, that was an entertaining race at the end there. Quite an entertaining race, start to finish. So, yeah, Alistair drinks his bottle of champagne with his engineer, who isn't actually the same engineer as normal. That was a bold guy. So that's good, good from Codemasters to finally script a different bloke in. But we will get to the race results in a second. Presuming the game wants us to see them. Instead, we're being told to wait. We're gonna see it, Codemasters, or we're gonna? Oh, apparently we don't get to see the results. That's quite a shame. Not quite sure why that's happened. Have I been booted out of the game full stop? No, I haven't. That's bizarre. Okay. Didn't want to see the results anyway. Either way, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna go onto the stream and go through the results. Can I actually do this through? Let me try this. Didn't run out of fuel. I didn't run out of fuel, CJ says. Not quite sure then what happened, but I'm gonna get the results very quickly up on the screen. Presuming we're not already loading into the session, or not now. Very quickly, just gonna pop this up. So here's your results. Alistair wins from Wet Lemons. Lewis Craig in P3. Acorn in 4th, and CJ finishes 5th then. I'm not quite sure what happened between the two Aston Martins, but yeah. Jack Pearson in P6 with Chris Johnson P7. Yuri gets 8th with Luca in P9 after strange strategy call. Mick Schumacher in 10th with Neil Jack 11th. Jake gets 12th. Daniel 13th. And Red Bull Kim 14th. And Dark Shadow 15th with Jack Craig and Matty C finishing off in the DNFs. So we now go to the to the Bahrain Grand Prix. So that will be an interesting one. Not quite sure then what happened with the Aston Martins, but we have a graphic I have been sent. Well, it's been sent on the group chat, but a graphic nevertheless. It's currently 6 points between 2 leaders, and I'm going to presume those 2 leaders are CJ and Alistair. 6 points separate them, as we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 races, including this one, to go. This season has flown by. I've really enjoyed this. I think the next season's in like May or something, so 2 weeks after the CJ says, there we go. Oh, we go. Actually, I've really enjoyed doing this. I know Cam, unfortunately, seems to have just disappeared off the face of the earth. I did message him, but he didn't reply. But you know, I've enjoyed this. It's been really fun to do. I do thank Jack and Dom to let us, me most of the time, do the commentary. It is, it's been fun. Something different for me, and I really enjoy it. I'm just going to get the Bahrain track map up so I can describe to you what corner you're going through. I don't think they actually have any names. They don't. So starting this lap, we'll go on board with, I think, our championship leader. Alistair, where is he? So there we go. Spectate into turn 1. Deep braking zone. Turn 2, fast turn 2. You don't want to... Ooh, that was a slide. Haven't seen that before. Into the DRS zone. Very early DRS zone. In turn 4, don't spin it like Sebastian Vettel did. Clip the curb. Run it wide. Good. So far from Alistair. That's CJ. Why are we watching the board with CJ? What was just watching? Into turn 7 and then 8 into the hairpin. And then get on the throttle early into what is a very hard and difficult turn. Turn 9 and 10. Very easy to lock up your fronts. Into turn 10. Get on the throttle early and open your DRS wide. CJ seemingly not spelling his ERS. Into turn 11. Clip the apex on the left. Get on the throttle early. Up the hill. And then it's a very fast set of corners. Turn 12. Clip the apex on the right. And then turn 13. Clip the apex again on the right. Get on the throttle early. And it's now just 2 straights here in Bahrain. Go to the final corner. Don't clip the final corner too hard, it can send your car absolutely flying, and it looks like it is going to just about be CJ's pole position. He managed to smash that final corner and he has got on pole position, and Alistair's in P2 with a Deck who is in P3. So yeah, that is your Bahrain lap. That was quite a good lap there from CJ. So here's your qualifying order. Decided to show us the results this time. CJ leads. CJ gets pole from Alistair from Deck, who, by the way, was ahead at one point, looking for pole position. Lewis in 4th place, Wet Lemons P5. Daniel 6th in Mr. Ziapelli in 7th. Chris Johnson 8th. Jack Craig 9th. Neil Jack 10th. Matty C 11th. Mick Schumacher 12th, Red Bull Kim 13th, Yuri 14th, Jack Pearson 15th, and Dark Shadow in a lonely 16th place. So, CJ on pole, 2 Aston Martins, 1 on 3, and I tell you what, Aston Martin are looking more and more good for that Constructors title. So, yeah. As it isn't raining, I'd hope it's not raining, not around the desert. Well, I'm sure they probably want some rain, but I'm sure the drivers definitely don't, because that'd be very unusual. But yeah, we now wait for the drivers to select strategies and whatnot. So here we go then. Hopefully we will be getting going any second now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Red lights for the Bahrain Grand Prix. It's lights out, and away we go. Who gets the better start? It looks like, if anything, oh, that's a big crash in the background there. I think that's Wet Lemons and Chris Johnson, who's had a crash into turn 1. Who leads? It looks like CJ is. Deck's going to try and go around the outside of Alistair into the inside. I think Deck's going to have to concede the position because of the yellow flags, but they go side by side going into turn 4. Who's going to be ahead? I think Deck's going to have the better exit as it goes onto the throttle. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Dex, who gets into P2. So Aston Martin 1-2. Alistair's had a horrendous start. Lucas now passed him into P3. As Lucas is going to send it down the inside of Deck here. And Deck's now lost all the places he gained and is down to P4. Luca now into P2. Alistair into P3 as Dex sends it very aggressively. As they go side by side onto what it was the old start finish straight here, side by side. Who is going to come out ahead of this corner? I think Deck's going to have to back out for now. He's down to 5th now after that. He's now got Daniel going to put him under pressure, but I think he's going to have to sit behind for now. That was an interesting start to the race, wasn't it? CJ second ahead of Luca already. How Dex came out of that worse. He sent it on every corner. I thought his front wing damage in the background somewhere. Someone's front wing's gone off. Yeah, ooh. Camera decided to get a bit jolty there. Yeah, that was chaos. As Luca's got a really good run on CJ here. There was a second gap near enough. We've got all sorts of side-by-sides action going on. Will Lucas decide to send it on CJ? No, he won't. He'll sit behind for now. And they've all got sorts going on. Near enough 3 wide going into turn 1. As Dex trying to get... Oh, Dex been passed by Daniel. I'm sure that's not what he wanted. As, look at this. Neil Jack maybe having a look at Deck. He's going down the inside. I think Deck's just given him a bit of room. As McLaren of Jack Craig, I think, pushed Jack there, Neil Jack, to slow him down. And this is really good fighting though from the top, like 8. They're all like in one big train. But I tell you who is looking a bit under pressure here. Luca, he is looking quite quick tonight. Here in Bahrain, he opens his DRS. Obviously, won't make a move here. I think he'll wait for the next straight, assuming he has a good exit and stays with him. Yeah, these guys are all really quite close to each other. To tell you what, Deck, I imagine his head is just a little bit lost after that lap one. He had what looked like a really good exit, and then it just kind of fell apart from there. As here we go on to lap 3 then. Who is going to be ahead going into turn 1? Luca, DRS open. He sets fastest. Well, Alistair sets the fastest lap of the race. Luca then moves to the right. Will he send it down the inside? He won't. CJ defends the inside actually. Oh, but Luca's managed to send it down the inside, but he has to back up for now. Will he be able to get him into the second straight of the lap? Here we go, down the inside again. He will go. CJ leaves him the room. Will we go for the switchback? He goes for the switchback. Luca goes very deep, and CJ manages to defend first place for now. But you still got 11 laps to go. It is not over, as Alistair's gone really slowly there, and he's down to P5. He must have made a mistake. Unlucky for him. Daniel, by the way, P4. His pace is looking brilliant in that Mercedes drive. I told you, he pops up with these pace, like random bits of pace. Look at this. I've jinxed him. He's dropped the place, I think. Luca, meanwhile, overtakes CJ for the lead of the race. That was an overtake which I thought he had to sit behind, but he isn't sitting behind. He's getting this over and done with. He is on the soft tyres though, so I expect them to die soon. But that is Luca into the lead of the race. CJ though, still you see him back. I imagine you probably get past again on the start finish, right? Look at this train. this is mental. They're all like just managing to stick with each other. Yeah. Look at this. It's gonna be brilliant going into things. Mick Schumacher's had a spin. Will CJ make the move? It looks like he will. CJ down the inside should be a plain simple move. Yep, Luca gives way. As I think we had a bit more overtaken. Alistair now up to P4, overtakes Daniel. I think Lewis is doing quite well in P3, isn't he? Oh, here we go. Luca going to try and go around the outside. Go for the switchback. Gets in the throttle. Does he have the traction though? I think he does. No, he doesn't. CJ managing to defend again. CJ, I tell you what, he's good at defending in that first sector. He knows what he's doing. Is the young Aston Martin driver, as Neil Jack making the move on Deck. Deck, who's having an awful start to this race all of a sudden. He's under pressure. I don't think he's got front wing damage. I think he's just lost his head a bit. As old start finish straight again. Will we see any moves from a Ferrari driver? No, we won't. We won't see any moves from these guys. As we go to the back of the field, will we see any from here? No, we won't. Because Chris is on hards. Interesting. Choice of tyre. I guess he had front wing damage from that lap 1 crash, which was huge, by the way. Unfortunate for Wet Lemons. Bad luck strikes once again. I can't imagine he's going to be extremely happy with that. CJ getting a little bit of a gap with Luca, but then he's just having to lose it all because of DRS. We've got pit stops going on. Daniel was pitted. But looks like no moves are going to be made going into turn 1. Luca sits behind. Top 3 stay behind. Top 5 stay behind, but Deck and Neil Jack aren't staying behind. Looks like Neil Jack might have Deck here as they open the DRS. Indeed, It looks like Neil Jack has gotten past Deck. Deck is having one awful race. We've still got like 9 laps to go, but yeah, it could be going better for him. As unfortunately, Neil Jack has also lost DRS now, so it will be these top 4. All of them are fighting in the championship. So this does get tasty. Top 4 in the standings are now fighting for the win of the race. Who could it be who wins this race? This could be championship deciding. All of these results can be championship deciding. As Alistair somehow, the leader of the championship, down in 4th. I think it's the leader. As Wet Lemon says, skill issues, so by looks of it, his fault and no one else's, however. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. As we go on to lap 6 very shortly. Will we see any more pitters with Daniel making the early stop? Good lead. To a domino effect. Doesn't look like there is. I think Deck might be pit. I did see him go. I don't think he is. Here we go, Luca. Will he go down the inside? Well, round the outside of CJ. He's going to have a look, but he has to sit back for now. These guys are so close. You can just tell they're fighting for the title because of how close they are. Here we go, Luca. Pushing CJ near enough. Will he go around the outside? CJ brakes later. Luca's going to try and get on the throttle earlier, but I think... Oh, they have a little bit of contact. CJ just managing to defend off. Oh, he's gone off! He's gone off! CJ has gone off. He was leading the race. He's now down into 4th place. What has happened to the Aston Martin driver? He completely messed up. That, I think it was like turn 8? Yeah, it was turn 7. And he's now down to P4. What has happened to the Aston Martin driver? That is him. Near enough our contention for this win of the race. Luca is now your race leader. And look at who's chasing him down. It's Lewis Craig, who's not had the best luck in the last 5 races. Well, could he now finally get that bad luck streak out of the window and win the race? We'll find out in exactly 8 laps time. I'm really not sure what happened to CJ. It was very bizarre. Maybe a skill issue, maybe he had his TV turned off at one point. Luca decides to pit. Right decision, as I think we're not going to see any overtakes between Lewis and Alistair. We don't. But yeah, with Luca and Deck pitting, this could maybe mix up the races a bit, the strategy. Will Alistair have a look on Lewis, who finally leads the race and God knows how long? Goes down the inside. Lewis just about defends it. That was very slow from the both of them. You know, these guys have been swinging it through since start to finish, and suddenly they just took that really slow and cautiously. But yeah, Lewis Craig hangs on to the lead, and CJ back into DRS. So even with that mistake, he is back into DRS of the leaders. Neil Jack, by the way, really good pace from the Haas driver tonight. I'm really impressed. He is in the DRS train now for the fight for the win. Alistair is all over the back of Lewis. Is he going to maybe send it up the inside? No, he won't. He'll sit back for now. Meanwhile, for the leaders, this is quite interesting. Luca has just about got himself clear. Deck, meanwhile, hasn't. He's got Kaya ahead of him. And then he's got Daniel. Daniel's actually fighting for the win of the race. I just realised that. He's fighting Luca for what is, I think, net lead of the race as Deck goes down the inside of Kaya. Goes a bit deep. Yeah, I just clicked onto that. Lewis doesn't pit. Alistair does pit, so does CJ. Oh, CJ sped into the pit lane. Well, that's him potentially out of the fight of the win. In fact, it's pretty much confirmed he's not going to win the race. Has he gone from soft to soft? No, he hasn't. The game's just glitched. So, with these guys who have pitted, who's going to come out in the lead of the race? Here we go. Daniel DRS open. This could help him slightly here. And they do come out ahead. So, at the moment, your race order is... Oh, hang on. Oh, this is your net lead, your net order right now. It is Luca from Daniel. Is he going to try and make the move on Luca? No, he won't. It is Luca from Daniel, from Alistair to CJ, and then Deck in P6. This is still a fight for the win. They're all so bunched up together. You're almost thinking if you're Lewis, the overcut might be worth it because you're going to be in fresher tyres and you're going to be on softs. So here we go. Alistair is going to. No way you're going to try and go for a move there. You'd be ludicrous to do that. He doesn't though. He's smart like that. As yes, this fight is crazy. As here goes Daniel. Is going to try and make the move? No, he won't. But Alistair's going to make the move on Daniel. He's surprised him pretty much there. As Daniel's had an awful run, but I don't think anyone else is going to make the move on him. But yeah, this is brilliant driving. I know obviously the DRS is kind of influencing all this, but I mean, if it's making the race entertaining, I'm not going to complain. Lewis Pitts, where will he come out? Will he be with these guys, or will he drop out of the DRS train and ultimately cost him any sort of chances? Yuri 3-second time penalty. Here goes Alistair for pretty much the net win, a lead at the moment. He takes the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Luca thinks about maybe sending it on him, but he doesn't. Lewis comes out. P5 1.1 seconds behind. He should be okay. Meanwhile, CJ has a run on Daniel, but he won't. Oh, he does make the move on Daniel. Meanwhile, Luca and Alistair fighting again for this win. This is like 2014 Bahrain Grand Prix vibes here, but with every championship contender as CJ down the inside of Luca. That was a brilliant move. Meanwhile, Deck going to try and go around the outside of Daniel. Ah, they've crashed. Deck is off the circuit, and well, that is probably not great news. Lewis Craig, he has gone off. I don't know what's happened to him because that's a separate whole incident. Man's luck is horrendous. As Deck's trying to make the move on Daniel again. Down the inside he goes, and ooh, Daniel's going to try and fight this back. No, he won't. So, we've just gone from what was a really tight fight to now these two again. Alistair and CJ. CJ has that 10-second time penalty though, so ultimately this doesn't really matter, but I'm sure this is going to be a great fight between them regardless. I do wonder what happened to Lewis though. He just seemed to have gone off. Anyway, here we go. Lap 10 begins, and CJ opens his DRS wide, and it should be an easy move for the Aston Martin driver. Alistair sits behind. Now, if I'm Luca, I'm thinking that gap is coming down quite a bit. Yeah, you might want to get a move on here and try and catch up to them. But then again, I'm sure he'll take a P2. But yeah, CJ, you're leader on circuit for now, but Alistair is penalty-wise ahead of him by about 9 seconds. Yeah, if I'm CJ, it's now just crack on, get going, and hopefully getting that gap up to a second, and then from there you can bolt, because once you're at DRS, it's very hard to, well, I mean, what a mistake, obviously. But Jack Pearson 3-second time penalty, so it's not great from the RB driver. Let's run through the field then. CJ and Alistair fighting for the lead. Luca and Deck looking like he might still be able to get himself a podium here. Maybe even a P2. They might be able to somewhat redeem Aston Martin here with that 10 seconds. Daniel in P5, he obviously had the little collision with Deck. I don't think he got damaged though, as who has gone off? Yuri. And I think Jack might have had a collision. And unfortunately, I think for 3 races running, that is Yuri off the circuit and facing the wrong way, which isn't what he wants to see, unfortunately, from the Dutchman. As we've got 3 laps to go, and these guys are still fighting it. So Alistair, you know, despite the fact he's pretty much confirmed this win, he's still fighting for it. As Daniel 3-second time penalty, not what he wants. Carrying on back through the field, why not? Neil Jack, he's now pretty much pushing for P5, though he has Lewis Craig behind him, so you know Lewis might have had that mistake. Really costly mistake, because he has the fresher tyres than everyone. is now fighting for P6, maybe P5, maybe P4. What's the leader gap? 5 seconds. Oh, that could be intense. Come the end of the race. Deck looking likely to maybe make a move on Luca. He sits behind Yuri, is facing the wrong way again. I think his tyres might be gone. Unfortunately for the Alpine team, it's looking like a bad result from them both. Yuri's off again. Yeah, it's not great. Anyway, we will move on from his misfortunes. We got these two fighting for the lead of the race. Nothing going on for there, but going in to turn 1, we will see Luca and Deck giving it them all. Nothing being done there, but Lewis is past Neil Jack. V6 in this race. Leaders aren't doing anything, so we go back to the fight to fourth. Well, what is pretty much second place. Deck is really trying to figure out how to get past them. Playing the smart game though, not going for anything rash. Unlike lap 1 where he thinks he could just send it on everyone. That is, I think, Yuri off again. He is going to currently be last place. Can we also point out Dark Shadow, who is in P11, ahead of Chris Johnson, who is the most podium-like driver to be on the grid. So Dark Shadow, good race from him. As we cut to these guys. Now this is going to be difficult to decide what I watch. The fight for the win, in which, you've got these two. CJ is not going to win this race unless Alistair. I guess if they crash, actually, yeah, we'll watch this fight still. Mick Schumacher 3-second time penalty. Not what he wants, especially when he's behind Jury. Oh, we're going to see a move from Mick Schumacher. He won't be able to make a move. Right, back to these guys. We have 2 laps to go in this race. Who's going to win this on track? It looks like Alistair's going to fly past. Not really much of a fight from CJ on that specific lap. As he opens his DRS again, will he fly straight back past? No, he won't. To these guys then, for battle for P2 net. And I think Deck's going to sit behind. I don't know if they realise what's at stake. I presume so, because it should say 10-second time penalty. As Lewis still behind Daniel has got yellow flag jury again. I'm not even going to bother looking at it. 9.8 seconds. So Lewis now needs to get past Daniel. He does. Oh, he's got out of shape though. He's costing himself time. He needs to get past him. Will Daniel fight this back? No, he won't. But Lewis now, he needs to drive properly. He needs to get on with it and try his hardest. Alistair, by the way, he has pulled a massive gap in CJ. And has managed to get a 1.7 second gap. CJ's pace has dropped off, and he's got himself a 3-second time penalty. Oh dear. Well, I think that confirms he'll be finishing probably 7th. Yeah, that's not what he wanted to see. As we start the final lap of the race, let's watch on board with this fight. This fight is going to get tasty. Deck versus Luca. The final part. Here we go. Deck goes on to what will be the outside line. Will he send it? He's going to certainly try, I think. As he will not make the move this time round. Will he make it the next time round? Second straight. Here we go. There is CJ, who has gone off circuit. I'm not sure what's happened there. He's gone off the circuit. He's down to P4. And it goes from bad to worse. And I think his tyres must just be really dead. But this fight for now, what is going to be on track P2? We'll see what happens here. Surely CJ is not going to try and fight his teammate. Like, this is strategically thinking, he wants to get the place for the championship as well. Anyway, here we go. DRS open. He's burning his ERS. Is he going to send it on Luca? He kind of has to, really, doesn't he? But he's not going to. He's going to sit behind. Oh, they've had contact. And that's CJ who was crashed into. Oh no, it goes from bad to worse for Aston Martin. And that is not only Acorn's chances of P2 out the window, but it's also CJ who is out of shape, so he's really struggling. Anyway, Alistair, he wins the second race of the night. Congratulations from the Red Bull driver to the Red Bull driver. Meanwhile, this fight for P2, I think it will be Luca who gets it across the line. Acorn will get third place. CJ will finish fourth on track, but it's ultimately going to be about seventh, maybe even eighth on circuit, off circuit. Lewis Craig will get fourth place. Neil Jack, brilliant drive from him, and Daniel fifth and sixth. Lewis Jack Craig will get eighth. If he hadn't had that penalty, maybe could have got P7. Matty C, ninth place. Jack Craig will get 10th. And Dark Shadow, well, he might not get it on off circuit, but he'll get it on circuit. P11 for him. It will be P12 off circuit though. Chris Johnson 11th. Not been a great weekend from the house driver. Mick Schumacher will get 13th. Ed Bookin 14th. And who is this? Who has gone off? He's been lapped by the entire field. I did, at the start of the season, I said he could maybe fight for the title, but I don't know. Not sure anymore if that's going to be possible. But he will finish in 15th. But it is Alistair who will win tonight here in TGP2 in Bahrain, and I am sure that he will be happy. That's a good gap, especially with CJ's issues with the result he's gotten at the end of this. Could be huge for the title. That's really good racing from those guys, so I really enjoyed that. As Alistair comes out onto the podium, it's an interesting podium. That is Deck's second podium of the night, and I think of the season as well. So, well done, Deck. That was yeah, interesting. So, that is Alistair spraying the champagne. Actually, is it champagne? It's Bahrain. They're not allowed champagne, are they? Spraying the sparkling water at his team. So here is your results. Alistair wins from Luca, from Acorn. Good podium from him. Lewis Craig in fourth after the mistakes he made. I guess he'll take it. P5 for Neil Jack and Daniel in P6. CJ P7 with the fastest lap. Jack Pearson 8th, Matty C 9th, Jack Craig 10th, Chris Johnson 11th, Dark Shadow P12, Mick Schumacher 13th, Red Bull Kim 14th, Yuri 15th with being a lap down, and Wet Lemons didn't even get to turn 1 and was in the pit wall in P16. So, yeah, that is your race tonight. Apparently, Chris Johnson was typing a message to Dom on the straights with his left hand while driving. That's a new one for us tonight. But that is your races for tonight. We now go to Australia, Imola, and Brazil next week. So, decent lineup actually. This can be interesting races. And I look forward to seeing you all hopefully next week. Have a good night, everyone. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, see you next week. Good night.